All right, well, you get to relax with this and something gets done. That's often part of the joy of needle and thread stitching projects. And my next guest found that embroidery did more. It actually helped with her anxiety. Award-winning embroidery artist Rebecca Woolston is sharing her gifts with Studio 5 today, and you can see they're plentiful and gorgeous. So welcome. Tell us the story about how you found embroidery and how it helps you.
So I've actually been doing it since I was a little girl. My birthday party when I was 10 was all my friends coming over and my mom teaching us how to make something. But then I went to college, and even though I studied graphic design, I did not really think of this as a formal, it just seemed like a fun craft. So I didn't really do it for a lot of years, and then I had a baby, and I had postpartum anxiety, and I quit my job, and I had a lot of stress. And then I realized, I get to do stuff like this during the day. I need to just embrace this stay-at-home mom life. So, as you can see, I got really into it.
Yeah, let's show
this
some
is only
of this.
5, so the fact that I've done all this in 5 years is a little crazy.
Yes, being a mom of littles can be challenging. So you found this as a way to kind of calm the nerves, help your anxiety.
Yeah.
How do we see embroidery, we can sometimes tell if it's good or bad, but like obviously yours is beautiful. Kind of show us your finished work. What are some of these examples you have? You have some hoops.
So some are a little more complicated, obviously. Like this is probably one of the more complicated ones I've done because there's stitching on top of stitching. And so even if you trace a design, you have to kind of freehand some of it because you're just doing a little bit of guesswork. It's definitely more simple to start with something basic. Like this is something I do for my beginner workshops because you get a basic stitch, and if you don't like a certain stitch, you could just simplify and do whatever you do like to do.
Do a different one. And yeah, you've got that, you've got clothing, you've got blankets, you have darling Christmas ornaments, so many options for the embroidery. How do we, if we thought, okay, I kind of want to start, and I did this a couple of years ago, what do we need to do or buy to even get started?
Yeah. Okay, so it's actually pretty simple. I do sell kits on my Etsy shop, but in them, you just have a basic wood hoop that's a couple dollars at a craft store. And then I like to use DMC thread. I have mine kind of organized here, but they come in just a little skein like this. Right. About 60 cents a color.
So you rewrapped them on, because this is what mine looks like. So you rewrapped them onto something.
I rewrapped them on these little bobbins because it just keeps a little more organized and clean. And when you're dealing with knots and thread everywhere, it's just nice to simplify. And then I've got some needles. You really only need one needle if you can hold on to it, but you may lose it. So that's probably the only dangerous part around kids. So an embroidery needle and then some fabric. And I like to use either black or white, a cotton linen blend because it has little squares, it's easy to kind of poke through.
Okay.
And so there's so many different ways to transfer your design.
Yeah, because some people might think you're freehanding this. You're just following a pattern. And how do we transfer?
Yeah. So there's a few different ways. I mean, sometimes I do just freehand, like I did. Actually, I didn't with this one because I traced on this. But you can freehand. I like to use these heat erasable pens, which kind of feel like magic because after you draw, you can just use a blow dryer and it all goes away. So that's fun. I also grew up using these water marking pens, and that just goes away in water.
So you just put that down, you lay your fabric on top of it,
and trace it.
Okay.
Yep. But I started getting into using dark fabrics, and that's where it gets a little tricky. So there is this product that I love, sticky Fabrisolvi. So you can just, so it shows on the demo, you just put it through your printer, and then you print out your design, stick it on the fabric, and then it also dissolves with water.
It's gorgeous on the black fabric. You don't see that very often.
You know?
Yes. Okay. So I know that there's all these different stitches. You kind of showed us in that heart pattern that you had. But what are some of the most basic stitches and ones that maybe we can try at home?
I love the back stitch. Maybe let's see.
The back stitch is kind of the most basic,
Yeah,
right?
it's just a basic line. So this is a back stitch over and over again. So when you do a back stitch, do you want me to show you?
Sure.
Okay. So a back stitch is just where you're poking through.
Start from the back.
Yes. And then pull up, take a little stitch,
And we kind of have a close-up video showing exactly how you're doing that. So
Yes. You'll jump ahead, and then you'll go back to the same hole. So that is just a simple line. You could do everything with a back stitch if you wanted. All the other stitches are just if you want to challenge yourself and add a little more texture.
Well, I think, yeah, that's good because you can do almost anything with it, like you said, and you can fill it in if you want something a little more solid.
Yeah.
But I told you the one that really it makes me want to scream is the French knot because I think it's so darling, and you have one here on the heart.
Yes.
Tell us how we do. That's where you want to make a little polka dot.
Yes, and I love to use it for like filling stuff in. Like this whole sweater is just little French knots because
When you're really good
it
at
adds,
it.
Well, when you have a lot of time on your hands, it adds some fun texture. So do you want to try one?
Oh, goodness. Okay, we're going to watch your video. Maybe I can follow along with the video.
So there's
even
your
better.
needle.
Okay.
You'll pull through.
And then you just twist it a couple times. Does it
Twist
matter
a
which
couple
direction?
times. I like to hold with my left hand. Yeah, that works. I
Okay.
usually twist it the other way, but
Okay. It's kind of complicated. I'm just going to try to show. Okay, and then you go down the same hole?
no, just right next to it.
Okay.
Yep, just like that. That looks great.
Let's
And then
see if
just
it
keep that
works.
tight as you pull down.
Oh, I pulled it completely out of the
darn.
needle. Okay, it's a little more difficult than it looks, but you know what? That is so darling, and you can fill it in, or you can, if you're doing letters, that can be the cute dot on your eye or
yep.
whatever. Okay, now I understand you do some workshops.
I
If
do.
we need more help, which I
Yes.
obviously do.
So I do workshops at the Workshop SLC. It's an art studio in Sugar House, and we do beginning embroidery and botanical embroidery. So beginning, we do this little heart I showed you, and botanical, you choose a letter, and then we do all different hearts and leaves and whatever in the shape of
Gorgeous.
your letter.
Gorgeous.
So, it's fun.
Thank you so
Yeah.
much. All right. You can look her up if you want to learn more, and I think I'll see you there.